Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas, and we've got a great show for you today. You know, Monday nights, we lean into Monday Night Football, but we've got MLB divisional round playoffs to talk about, as well as a lot of you are already chatting about NFL and MLB in the chat. But let's see how we did on Friday. The recap screen, which of course carries some picks over from earlier in the week as well. Shout out to Calvin covering that Mercury plus 3.5, minus 112. We go 10-7-1 overall. I hit my Jake Browning prop, which I'm pretty proud of under the circumstances. The SportsLine picks do pretty well. Chip Patterson, 2 out of 3. We will take 10-7-1, and we will also take an incredible Monday night crew as we bring them in. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to this SportsLine YouTube channel. We got Matt Snyder. We got Larry Hartstein. We've got Mike McClure. Let's start with some NFL, Larry. Give me your reaction before we dip our toes into Monday Night Football. Give me your reaction to NFL Sunday. What comes to mind in terms of maybe some surprises or outcomes you didn't expect?
Well, how did the Arizona Cardinals lose that game? Yeah. I have a column going up on CBSSports.com very shortly, calling it the worst survivor beat of all time. The Rams and the Cardinals were the top 2 picks, and then Buffalo goes down as well. Circa Survivor, which started with nearly 19,000 people, is down to 4,669 because of the carnage yesterday. But to have all those things happen, first the guy letting go of the ball, which we just saw. We just saw it a week ago. How do you let go of the ball? And then the interception that turns into a touchdown that Tennessee recovers, and then Arizona not being able to move the ball. Just an incredible series of events, and I'm very unfortunate for anyone who had Arizona.
I mean, it's really Matt Snyper had Arizona. Yeah, Sniper, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I will never, ever understand. I think it's my most mind-boggling thing in sports to be so quick to try to let go of the football when you score. However, I think he still had the ball when it touched the ball.
That's what I thought.
It was very close.
That's what I thought. The way it was still kind of in his hand and he's dipping it over the line a little bit.
Yeah, like I know it almost felt like they wanted to punish him for it being so close. Like, come on. I think he still had it. But anyway, man, yeah. So, yeah, I went down on that one in Survivor.
Well, for that to happen, and like as much as I want to blame Kyler Murray because I don't think he's a very good quarterback, for that to have happened and then that interception that results in a Tyler Lockett touchdown is such a crazy, like for one of those things to happen in a game or on an NFL Sunday is crazy enough, but for both of them to happen in the same game to the same team to end up in a loss and a non-cover is pretty crazy. Mike, your reaction, Three Kings says I had Titans. Bad pick, Three Kings, but listen, sometimes you get lucky, you get a cover, you get a win. Mike, your reaction to NFL Sunday?
If I were a coach, I would make everyone watch the great film, The Replacements with Gene Hackman. The defensive player says, I want the ball. Go get me the ball. He gets the ball and hands it to the coach. After you score a touchdown on my team, you carry the ball over
to all the way back.
All the way back. Leave zero doubt. I'm tired of watching this. We see it every year, every other year. We've seen it for the last decade in football. It's just absolutely insane. I get that, yes, maybe the line possibly broke, the ball possibly broke the plane, but still. Leave no doubt. Absolutely incredible that continues to happen.
Adam Fry says he got taken out by the Cardinals as well. I'm using my words, not his. But Sniper, talk to me about the MLB divisional round. Any surprises? I mean, we're kind of just getting started, it feels like, but we've got Monday. We've got a couple of games here. Obviously, a lot of people in the chat talking about the Yankees, but what are you talking about right now?
I mean, just getting started. I mean, the Yankees haven't gotten started yet. Well, maybe they started to after they were down 12-0. That you don't often see a game where the final score is 13-7, which means the team who lost got blown out. But you still have to say, well, that final score is deceptive because through 6 innings, it was 12-0 Blue Jays, and the Yankees didn't even have a hit. For them to get it to 13-7 made it look a little closer than it was. No, the Blue Jays, and remember the Blue Jays won 10-1 in the first game. The Blue Jays are absolutely steamrolling the Yankees. The offense is incredible. Something I've talked about a lot this season, not necessarily on this show, but I do talk other places. the thing about the Blue Jays is the supporting cast stepping up, because you always think about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette, who, by the way, Bichette's hurt this series. And maybe a little bit George Springer, even though he was down before this year. He's had like a career renaissance at age 35. But it's Addison Barger with the 2-run bomb to get the scoring started yesterday. It's Dalton Varsho, who had 4 hits, 2 doubles, and 2 home runs yesterday. One of the greatest playoff games in history for an individual player. He had over 20 home runs in less than half a season this year. The Blue Jays supporting cast is so good. And then you go to Seattle. Tigers kind of steal game 1, it felt like, but then the Mariners go out and win the Tarek Skubal game. So that one looks like incredible theater. NL side, the Cubs got their teeth kicked in and were absolutely horrible in game 1, but you have to give credit to the Brewers, and that's what the Brewers do. They go out and they get hit after hit after hit after hit. The Cubs make an error. The Brewers storm through the door and take advantage of it. And then the other game, I have to say, if you just saw the score and saw it was 5-3, you wouldn't know. That was one of the best played playoff games that you will ever see, that Phillies-Dodgers game. That was incredible, and hopefully we get 5 games in that series. Sorry it went too long, but I was just trying to get everything that we've seen so far.
You didn't go too long at all. We are going to transition to NFL, but then, of course, Sniper will toggle right back to MLB because I know you've got a couple of picks for tonight. Joey B says, Sia's shirt, is it red? Is it orange? Okay, so it is technically orange, like blood orange, but I know on camera it kind of looks red. I kind of lean to the Chiefs. I'm going to talk about the Chiefs later. So as we have the close up, what do you think it is? Do you think it's orange or red? Type it in the chat because I know what color it is. I just don't know exactly how it's coming off to you on camera. I will tell you that, Larry, I know you have something against this later on in the show. I kind of lean to the Chiefs, but I'm also wearing what might look like orange because last Monday on this show, like literally this episode, the Monday Night Football episode, what did I tell you about the Denver Broncos? Yes, orange. What did I tell you about the Denver Broncos? I said they're 18-1 to win the AFC. That their record is not indicative of what this team is. Now they've rattled off 2 wins. Guess what? Now they're 9-1 at best. That's the best number you can get to win the AFC. I'm not saying it's going to cash, but there is a reason I brought that up. I thought this Denver team was very good. They dispatched the Eagles. Of course, they killed the Cincinnati Bengals last Monday. 2 wins since I told you to take that bet, and now it has been cut in half. Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, and they basically have a bye next week. They play the Jets in London. The Jets are completely dysfunctional. And with the problems that the Chargers and the Ravens are having right now with all of the injuries, it's really opening up for the Broncos.
And frankly, that's what I said last week. I said teams like the Ravens aren't what we thought they were. And really the only huge stumbling block, which still is a stumbling block, of course, and I'm saying the only huge one, of course, is the Bills. But we know the Bills are vulnerable because we just saw what Drake May and Stephon Diggs did to the Bills yesterday. So again, I think the AFC is up for grabs a little bit more than people think. All right, well, one of those teams in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're starting to really hit their stride. They're going to get Rashee Rice back in a couple weeks. Mike McClure, you've got one of your patented first half team totals. Talk to me.
Yes, see a first half team total over 12.5. We have played this 6 times so far this season. We have won 5 of the 6. When I look at this one, it's the same drill, right? They're favored in the game by more than a field goal. Elite offense, needing a touchdown and 2 field goals to cash this ticket. You talk about how easy it is to kick longer field goals now, but just how good Patrick Mahomes is in those late game or late end of half situations. The number here should be 13, requiring 2 touchdowns to cash this ticket. The fact that it's not, I'm going to continue to play it. Again, I get that it's, predicated on the total of the game being 45 and not 47.5. However, I just still am going to back Kansas City for a touchdown and 2 field goals to start a game pretty much every time at this price point. I think that Jacksonville, while they look good defensively so far, I don't expect them to finish in the top 5 in terms of EPA per play defensively this year. Meanwhile, Kansas City now up to 7th offensively. That number checks out to me. So I like what they're able to do offensively. And again, the number should be 13. There's a big difference between 12.5 and 13. And while they keep offering it, we are going to keep betting it at 12.5.
This is probably a good segue to my pick. So we'll go ahead and get my pick out of the way that I just put on SportsLine recently. I like, and Larry, I think you like these props too, the completions props, the pass attempts props. It's something I've really dipped into over the last year or two. This number on Patrick Mahomes, I got to admit, it's pretty high, 23.5. Usually when you're looking at this market, you'll see like in a regular circumstance, you'll see like 21.5, maybe 22.5, but we've got 23.5 for Patrick Mahomes. I'm still taking the over. Give me the over on Patrick Mahomes completions of 23.5. And here's the thing. We know with Kansas City that the passing game is the extension of the running game, the short area passing game specifically. I really don't anticipate the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs in this game, but I do think they're going to be pretty one-dimensional because Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, they're really not going to be able to move the ball. And that's reflected in their rushing props, by the way. You look at Isaiah Pacheco's rushing yards prop, 29.5. Kareem Hunt, 27.5. They got Brashard Smith behind him. Like, they're just not going to be able to move the ball in chunks. Those chunks are going to come in the short area with Patrick Mahomes. He's been getting the ball out really faster than most quarterbacks in the league this year, and that's what he's going to do against this Jacksonville defense. I think he's going to be able to kind of pick it apart, and I think there's going to be drives where he gets 5, 6, 7 maybe completions per drive as they nickel and dime their way down the field. I kind of like his over yards, but again, I don't think he's going to hit a lot of deep shots, even if Xavier Worthy is healthy, which of course I anticipate. I think we're going to see the short area 4 or 5 yards at a time, 6, 7 yards at a time. And oh, by the way, Jacksonville does not do a good job getting off the field defensively on third down. So I think we're going to see a lot of extended drives as a result of the third down rate by that Jacksonville defense not being very good. So give me Patrick Mahomes completions over. I very much lean to the Chiefs, but I don't love the 3.5 on the road. I kind of want to lay the 3. So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. But Larry, I know you've got something to say on the other side about that. But before we get there, let's take a look at a BetMGM promo. Get a second chance tonight. We're going to give you our first touchdown scores later on in the show, but we're going to get a second chance to get that first touchdown score cash back. You can get your bet back in cash if your first touchdown score scores second instead. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. If you have questions about this game, or if you have questions about the MLB playoffs tonight or in general, we're here to answer them. So make sure you run to the chat and put your questions in there, whether you're on Twitter watching us or whether you're on YouTube, because that's going to be a big feature of these Monday and Thursday night shows. But before we get to more picks, we got to hear a message from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Before we get back to football, which is going to be Larry's pick, and your questions, Snyper, talk to me about MLB. You've got a couple of picks tonight.
Yes, I do. I have something that last year I don't think I ever would have imagined I would take the over on an out from a Dodgers pitcher, but I am going Blake Snell over 17.5 outs. I got it at plus money yesterday in the middle of the afternoon. I also looked at some other books, and I saw some that had 16.5 outs, about minus 120-ish. I would do that as well. I really think Blake Snell is going to finish 6 innings in this game against the Phillies. Look, I actually wrote about this on CBSSports.com last week. The Dodgers bullpen is really, really bad. Their starting pitching is so good. We saw in game 1, and we saw in the wild card series, both games 1 and game 2, Snell went 7 innings in that wild card game. That was his playoff career high. They got Yamamoto up to his highest pitch count that he's had since he left Japan. We saw Tyler Glasnow come in relief in game 1 of Shohei Ohtani in this series. It's very evident to me that Dave Roberts and that front office just do not trust their traditional relievers, and they're going to use the starting pitchers absolutely as much as they can. And Snell's been going deep right now. His last 4 games, 6 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings for over 17.5 outs. We just need to get that 18th out. That's 6 innings completed. Last time he faced the Phillies was just a couple starts ago. It was on September 18th. He went 7 scoreless innings. He struck out 12. It's a really good matchup for Snell here with the Phillies. I believe he's going to finish 6 innings, so I like this play here at plus money. Also, I'm going to go with the Cubs here. I could see why a lot of people would want to avoid this after how bad the Cubs looked in the first 2 innings of that game against the Brewers and how much better the Brewers looked. And I understand that, and that's perfectly fine. You can stay away, but I think the Cubs are going to bounce back. I think the offense is going to bounce back. The Brewers have an opener, and then it looks like Quinn Priester is going to be their bulk guy. The Cubs lit up Priester earlier this season in American Family Field, which is what it used to be called Miller Park. That's the new name. It's kind of lame, but hey, that's what happens with sponsors. I think the Cubs are going to go with Shota Imanaga for about 2 or 3 innings, maybe just one time through that Brewers order. Not a great matchup there for him, but I think that he squeaks by. And then the Cubs bullpen, which is very good, is going to take over, and it's very well rested, especially with the off day before game 1. They didn't use any of their top 5 relievers in game 1, and then they had the off day yesterday, and they have the off day tomorrow. So that's my play there. I wanted to respond. Somebody in the comments said, is Snyper finally going to take the Brewers and Blue Jays seriously? That's an outrageously stupid comment. I picked the Yankees to win over the Blue Jays in 5. I picked the Cubs to win over the Brewers in 5. That doesn't mean I don't take those teams seriously. They're both great teams. They're the number 1 seed in both leagues. Do a better job.
Do a better job, says Snyper to Andy. Jason Harrod is breaking some news here. Kelsey's birthday was yesterday. I actually knew that because I tweeted out that it was Michael Pittman's birthday yesterday, which I found out right before kickoff. And I was like, take everything Michael Pittman. I mean, I was kind of joking, but kind of not. And he scores a touchdown and has a nice big game. Well, Kelsey's birthday was yesterday. So I don't know if you want to extend that birthday narrative, but this is the part that I didn't know. Larry, it's Trevor Lawrence's birthday today. And I actually think that segues nicely into your pick. Not that you want to take a ride down Narrative Street necessarily, but you do happen to like the Jaguars at home, getting 3.5 points. So while the chat is putting questions in, while our audience is putting questions in the chat for MLB and NFL, explain yourself. You're taking the Jags at home.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm glad to hear it's Trevor's birthday. It's not so much about Trevor. It's not a good matchup for him. He historically has not done well against this defense, which is cover 2 to the extreme. They play nearly 70% of the time cover 2, but they give up the run. That's what the Chiefs do. They're willing to give up the run, and I think that plays exactly what Jacksonville wants to do, with Etienne averaging 6.1 yards per carry, a much improved offensive line. They don't want Trevor Lawrence to have to do too much, so it does set up well. And the 2 big injury questions, Trayvon Walker is questionable now despite undergoing wrist surgery. This is one of their top pass rushers. We'll see if he can play. And Xavier Worthy expected to play, but his ankle swelled up on the flight. He's officially questionable. So both of those injury things seem to me positive for the Jags. But when I go down to the biggest factor about the Jags, it has to go to what we saw last week. The Chiefs throwing 4 touchdowns, looking amazing. Oh, yeah. See what the Ravens did to C.J. Stroud? They made him look like a Hall of Fame quarterback. 73% success rate yesterday for the Texans offense. To me, that shows you that what the Chiefs did isn't really the Chiefs, or not 100% the Chiefs. A lot of it has to do with how depleted and how bad the Ravens defense is right now. So getting the extra hook at home with the team that has a much improved defense. I mean, I could go on and on about how bad Mike Caldwell was last year. There's a lot of talent on this defense, and Campanelli came in from Green Bay. They lead the NFL with 13 takeaways. They signed Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray on the back end. They have great pass rushers, including Armstead and Josh Hines-Allen. This is a good defense, even without the takeaways. Number 6 in success rate. I think they can keep this close. To me, it's a field goal game, so I love getting the hook with the Jags.
Larry, let me ask you this, because I do want to transition to Mike's take on this. I think getting the hook is such a big deal here. If this was 3, would it be a stay away for you?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I would lean towards the Jags because I really feel that we're not giving them enough credit for what they've accomplished so far. I would definitely lean towards the Jags, but I'm not sure I'd play it.
And Mike, you were on the other side of this, but not at the 3.5. And that is a very important distinction. You like the Chiefs if you can find the 3, right?
Yeah, if you can find the 3, we talked about it a little bit across the other shows, whether it was like primetime pregame, for example, see where we talked about Chiefs at 3 early in the week, but at 3.5 would be a stay away. I do make it all the way up to 4.5. Not going to jump into it, but the thing that makes my number 4.5 versus where the market is, I'm basically manually adjusting the Jags to be closer to league average defensively, not top 2 or 3. Just something I don't believe that they're going to finish top 2 or 3. And I respect what Kansas City's able to do offensively. So right there, would play Kansas City at 3, would not at 3.5, and maybe look for them in game.
So that's where, Larry, that's where I'm at on this defense. And we're going to find out a lot tonight. And I don't know, like, so the sample size for the Jaguars, before we get into your questions, both MLB and NFL related. Okay, they played Carolina. That was at home. In other words, they got Carolina at home. They played the Bengals when Browning came in very early in that game. And by the way, Browning was 21 for 32 for like 241 yards. So he kind of like diced them up a little bit. And that's, again, Jake Browning. Then they played the Texans, and Jags were home there. And I don't think that's very intimidating at all. And then they played the 49ers with, you could argue, a banged up Purdy and certainly a banged up receiver corps. So again, I'm kind of like applying maybe too much context. I'm making too many excuses probably in terms of what the Jaguars have faced. But Larry, what's your pushback there? Because again, you're talking about Carolina and Houston, the Bengals with Browning. Like, I'm not super impressed by that.
Yeah, I mean, you can dissect everyone's schedule. I think winning in San Francisco is a pretty impressive win to me. And I'm not saying they're better than the Chiefs. I'm just saying that at home, getting 3.5 to me is very attractive because I just really like this new defensive coordinator. They're playing a lot more zone. They had talent, and now they have the right coaching in place. And if Trevor Lawrence and his receivers can ever start to produce, they really might have something. But I forgot to give out my prop, and I don't know if I should just go ahead and give it right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Etienne over 60.5. This was kind of a low-hanging number on BetMGM, but I would play it up to 64.5. He owns this backfield. At least 14 carries in every game, 6.1 yards per carry. The offensive line much improved, but to me, it's all about the way the Chiefs play defense. They play the two high safeties. They sit back. They're not going to load the box until they're absolutely forced to. That's just the way they play. And to me, that leads to Etienne getting 65, 75. He's had some monster games already. He looks a lot fresher this year. He looks quicker. He kind of looks like the guy that we saw when he first came out of college. I'm not sure what happened to him the last couple of years, but he looks different this year. So to me, this number is a little bit low.
Okay. Travis, I almost said Trevor Etienne, who did get into the game. Shout out to Rico Dowdle, by the way, who, if you watched the first few weeks, I know Dowdle's efficiency wasn't very good, but if you actually watched Carolina, I thought Dowdle looked far more, I shouldn't say far more, just as explosive, if not more, and certainly more north-south than Chuba Hubbard. So shout out to Dowdle for really showing up yesterday for Carolina. Let's talk about Travis Kelce. Let's dip into some questions, both MLB and NFL related. Aaron Taylor, who is all over the SportsLine Discord and a very sharp guy, he says he likes Travis Kelce over 41.5 receiving yards at -115. Mike McClure, your thoughts on your guy?
I don't mind it. With Kelce, I'm going to prefer probably looking for touchdowns a little more than some of the yardage and reception stuff at this point. We'll see. The reason why I would say it's okay to lean into it is this. We see a lot of, which we're kind of addressing it. We'll get there. A lot of questions about Xavier Worthy, and for good reason, right? He missed some time with a shoulder injury. The ankle is swelled up on the flight. Kelce at 41.5, I think, is playable by himself. But if Worthy's ankle bothers him in game, or for some reason doesn't end up playing, Travis Kelce should still be in the upper 50s to low 60s if that is the case. And it makes the neutral or trailing game script even more likely. So I'm fine leaning into Kelce at this low number, considering all the circumstances.
Robert Page says, greeting legends. Does anyone know the winning score for the fantasy football contest Sia put together? Of course, he's referring to the Fantasy Football Today DFS contest. It's only $5 to enter. Robert, I'm led to believe that maybe you won that contest based on your question. So why don't you tell us the winning score? I don't know if that's true or not, but the way you phrase that, I got to think you won it. So if you did, congratulations. I came in, I think, 12th or 13th in that contest. Don't forget Fantasy Football Today DFS every Thursday. It gets released around 1 o'clock or so, and we have a contest associated with that every single week. All right, let's see. Ramos says, thoughts on Trevor Lawrence passing yards at 217.5. Larry, any thoughts on Trevor today?
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning under on that number. It's come down. If you can find something in the 220 range, I'd like it even more because this is a tough matchup for him historically against this type of defense. And the Chiefs have held, I believe it's 3 straight now, under this number. So I think Trevor's only had one big game so far. I think it's going to be a ground game, which is how they want to play it. I think it's going to be tight. And I don't see it being, 14-0, 17-0, 17-7 Chiefs, which would lead to a lot of passing.
Mike, do you have a thought? Because this reminds me of just talking about the total, which, by the way, will be on CBS Sports Network at 12 o'clock, breaking down this game, among other things. But, Mike, talk to me about the total, 45.5. Did you see an edge one way or the other there?
I have it 45.2, so no room to play anything on the total. If I had to play it, I would lean to the under. If I had to pick a side where I'm on the Kansas City side, it would be Jacksonville's team total under 20.5. Just the idea that they can get to 20 and you're still in good shape. That's probably, like you said, if you said, Mike, I need you to play a total, that's the one I would play, would be under 20.5. And there's still scenarios that Jacksonville can cover if you like Jacksonville while scoring 20 points. So I would be under 20.5 if I had to play a total.
Totally agree. I'd be on that under as well. Let's see. M2, thoughts on Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts at -122 or Mahomes over 21.5 rush yards at -114. Before you answer, Mike, we've got our first touchdown of players to give out, and Mahomes is going to be featured there. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I like both here. It really comes down to who do you have winning the game on this one. If you think Kansas City's winning the game like I do here, then I think you're getting 2 kneel downs potentially here. Yeah, Mahomes looks to run a little bit more. I think that the rushing lines for him should be 5.5 and 28.5 personally, based off what we've seen this year. So I would be overs only.
So interesting here because we have a question. We do a look ahead on the CBS Sports Network show. We do a segment on lines we want to look ahead to. So I just want to go to Rick's question real quick. Rick says, Larry, do you like Detroit +1.5 next week? They play Kansas City in Kansas City. I don't know why he's asking about that one specifically, but any thoughts there?
I mean, it's hard to get in the way of Detroit right now. They look, like the best team in the league, the way they're taking care of business and covering every point spread. But correct me if I'm wrong. Rasheed Rice will not be back for that. He will still not
he won't be back. He won't be back next week
for that game. I haven't looked at it too close, Rick, but that will be a great Sunday Night Football.
Let's go to baseball real quick. Luzardo over 6.5 Ks, Sniper.
He's a high volume strikeout guy. And I mean, a left-hander with the Dodgers lineup when you have Ohtani and Freeman as 2 of their big bats, lefties. I could see that. I could see him getting knocked around a little bit and still striking out like 7. So I kind of like that one. Somebody just asked me about Blake Snell, 7.5 strikeouts. And that's where I was totally on the fence on that one. I think he's going to go 6 or 7 innings, as I said earlier in my outs recorded, but I don't know about the missing the bats so much. The Phillies are not a high volume strikeout team, but he does get the lefty against Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, and he struck him out a ton last time he saw them, but that was in Dodger Stadium. I keep going back and forth on that one. It's a stay away for me, but I would totally understand somebody playing the over.
So I got to get to something that Katie Taylor put in the chat. But first, before I get there, Jeremy Rogers wants to know, and by the way, Ben, I don't know if we have like a red alert signal or something like that, because when Katie Taylor speaks about a player prop in MLB that she likes, I feel like we need some sort of sound effect. But let's go to Jeremy Rogers first. Imanaga under 13.5 outs. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, under. I like it. I mean, as I discussed earlier, I think at the first sign of trouble, Council's going to bail on Imanaga and go to the Cubs' 5 best relievers did not pitch, in game 1, and they were very heavily used in their 2 wins in the wild card series. So that's what Council wants to do. So I agree with that play.
Okay, we got to get some sound effects. Ben, do we have anything? Katie Taylor says, I'm leaning Sia, not Sia. Suzuki hits, runs, RBIs 1.5 at -102. Sniper, what do you got on this?
I'm inclined to tail Katie here. She's usually pretty good at these, and Seiya Suzuki was really, really hot down the stretch. Hit well in the wild card series. He had just an atrocious second half, but that last week of the season, he kind of found himself again, and that's a good vibes play right now. Feels like if my Cubs play is going to hit, probably going to need something from Seiya.
Okay. Philip Terraza says, Sia, what did Trevor Lawrence do to hurt you? Nothing. It's not even his fault. But when he was at Clemson, that the word generational was attached to his game was honestly like kind of offensive to the word generational. I think he's a fine college quarterback. I think he's a below average NFL quarterback, and we don't need to be throwing the word generational around. I just thought it was ridiculous then. I think it's ridiculous now. So no, he didn't do anything. It was everybody else that did something to pump his rep up. Go ahead, Mike.
I believe they were talking generational quarterback hair. I don't think they were talking quarterback play when they talked about Trevor Lawrence.
We do need to lock down like generational, right? Like, generation is like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. The next generation is like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, if you want to throw him in there. Like, that's generational.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't like go outside the elite of elite echelon for generational.
Totally agree.
Generation is technically 25 years. So you've got to be basically among the very, very best in that time frame to qualify.
Words. I'm a lawyer. Words matter. Yes, that is generational hair. And that's the only thing. And for the record, when he was coming out of college, I said, I was all over the airwaves talking about this, that he was closer to Blaine Gabbert than he was to anything generational. And Blaine Gabbert also has generational hair. So maybe that really is the proper comp. All right, let's get back to more questions. Larry, Will Likes wants to know, would you take the over 80.5 rushing and receiving?
For Etienne,
I'm assuming,
I'm assuming, I would. I like it, but I prefer the rushing just because of the way the Chiefs have been defending.
Jeff Stewart has a question which prompts me to get to our sports line picks, because he wants to know, how do we like Brenton Strange over 3.5 receptions at -128? Let's get to the sports line picks, because we've got Brenton Strange right here. We got it actually at -118. Maybe you can get in the Discord and ask Prop Bet Guy whether he likes it at -128. But again, Brenton Strange over 3.5 receptions, -118. That one's courtesy of Prop Bet Guy, and it's over on Sportsline. Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 carries, -118. That one's from Danny Brasco. We addressed that one earlier as well with Mike McClure. And Dodgers Phillies over 7.5 at even money. That one courtesy of Micah Roberts. These are the Sportsline picks. Again, if you want to be a Sportsline member, go to sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners, and you get 60% off the annual plan. Again, that's 60% off the annual plan just by typing in winners at sportsline.com/join. Sniper, real quick, this Dodgers Phillies over even money. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can totally see that. Look, I mean, we saw really, really good starting pitching last game, and it still got to 8. So, the Phillies bullpen is a little thin before you get to Duran, an amazing closer. We know about the Dodgers bullpen problems. So if the starters give up any runs at all, and let's say my Snell overplay does not hit, let's say the Dodgers get to Luzardo, I think we're going to see some scoring, because those are some high-powered offenses.
Okay, we like the over there. Let's take a look at the first touchdown scores. Me and you, Sniper, we're usually on the same page here. I like Juju. I mean, obviously, I think the snap count is higher than most of the other guys outside of Xavier Worthy, and I think that's the part of this here. Any commentary here, Sniper, on Juju at 20-1 to be the first touchdown score?
Not really. I just wanted to grab somebody, and I saw him. I was like working on something and glanced up and saw him score a touchdown like 2 weeks ago. So when I went to look last night and I saw the plus 2,000, I was like, yeah, I'll take him.
Yeah, Mike, it's interesting. He's on the field a lot, and from a snap count and drop back standpoint, it does feel like it's Xavier Worthy, it's Juju Smith-Schuster, and, it's obviously Travis Kelce, and then everybody else is sort of in a tier below. I'm very surprised that Tyquan Thornton's receiving prop, by the way, is 16.5, something I'm going to look a little bit more into, but I think he's a good reverse correlation candidate, by the way, with that touchdown peppered in, but I could see Tyquan Thornton being on the field and being targeted a little bit more than people think. Mike, any thoughts there? And then give me your first touchdown score.
Yeah, look, Juju's definitely on the field a lot. If Xavier Worthy is beat up, then I think that it's totally fine to play him there. I'm going to go Mahomes, just the rushing primetime game. It's, if the receiving core is beat up a little bit, if Worthy is hurt, I like the way Mahomes runs the ball in these games and a lot more this season. So 20-1. Side note, I did want Noah Gray, but I'm not paying 25-1 for Noah Gray right now.
Mm-hmm.
Was really expecting to be 40-1 on the backup tight end Noah Gray, but it's not. So I'm gonna miss out.
By the way, Hollywood Brown is a receiver I didn't mention, but when we're looking at participation rate, at least last week, and I think that last week's a pretty good indicator, you've got Xavier Worthy, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, then Hollywood Brown, who was taking a bit of a back seat, and then you've got, guys like Tyquan Thornton and some of the others there. Joe Neuenfeld in the chat, Larry says, who's this Brashard Smith guy? Talk to me, Larry.
Well, his time is coming. I'm not sure it's this week, but if you look at his touches, 1 touch, 2 touch, 7 touches last week, 3 catches, 4 targets. This guy scored 18 touchdowns at SMU last year, 7th round rookie, obviously has a lot more juice than either Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco, and they really like to throw it to him on those swing passes out of the backfield. Had a nice 17-yard catch and run last week. So I think his time is coming. I'm not sure we're going to see it, fully happen tonight, but he did get 26% of the snaps last week, and his role is only going to keep growing.
Sniper, I couldn't help but notice as we're close to wrapping up the show, if you have any final questions, MLB, NFL related, let us know. You made a How I Met Your Mother reference, which I don't know what the reference is because I'm not caught up on the chat. Oh, Suit Up. Maybe is it Suit Up from Chris Kish?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I said Suit Up. Like somebody said something like the headshot is me in a suit, and I was like, oh, this is the only show where I don't suit up.
If I blindly asked you, and this is for the chat as well, and I don't know how much Larry or Mike you've ever seen How I Met Your Mother, but if I asked you whether Barney Stinson's character in How I Met Your Mother, and I'm just blindly asking you, like I'm not even giving you the opportunity to think of, other characters on other sitcoms. If I said his character is a top 10 character all time in sitcoms, what would you say?
Yeah, I think we could. I don't think I could get him in the top 5 or anything, but I think I could see like 8 through 10ish. Yeah, I think you could. I think we could get there.
I think we could get there too, 8 through 10ish. Mike, have you ever seen How I Met Your Mother? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
You need to watch all seasons like tonight, basically.
Oh, that's a lot.
There's only 8 seasons.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that you have a little Barney Stinson in you.
I high five people a lot.
Yeah.
I do that. Larry, Barney Stinson, his character, top 10 all time. No?
Easily, yeah, for sure.
All right. Thoughts in the chat. Chris Kish says top 6. Farzad says he's generational. Costanza, top 10, top 5. Of course, Costanza's a top 5.
George is top 5.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Al Bundy. See, Al Bundy doesn't make my top 10, but I get it, says Jason Herod. But like he's in the top 20, but I don't know. He's top 10. All right. I think that'll do it. I thought we'd get a little bit more How I Met Your Mother reaction, but it's not really spiraling like I thought it would. All right, let's get to the recap screen. We do have to get out of here and prep for this CBS Sports Network show at 12 o'clock, where we're going to talk Monday Night Football. We're going to talk look-ahead lines, and then we're going to talk Big 5, Group of 5 at the end of the show. Emery Hunt, Tom Casale always come on and say, hey, check out these lines, check out these games early, because they like some of these small schools that a lot of people aren't paying attention to early in the week. So look out for that on CBS Sports Network, and then look out for the cut up that we put on the SportsLine YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Patrick Mahomes, over 23.5 completions, -110. That's from me. Jags plus 3.5, -110, says Larry. And Travis Etienne, over 60.5 rushing yards at -115. Chiefs first half team total, over 12.5, -112, says Mike McClure. Then we go to baseball. Blake Snell over 17.5 outs recorded at +111, and Cubs money line +105. Let's go to the SportsLine picks. Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 carries at -118, says Danny Brasco. Brenton Strange over 3.5 receptions, -118, says Prop Bet Guy. And Dodgers Phillies over 7.5 at even money. That one from Micah Roberts. Let's go to first touchdown score. Me and the Sniper aligned yet again. Juju Smith-Schuster, 20-1. Really love that number. I kind of think it should be like 15, and probably in some places it is. Brashard Smith, the RB3, maybe kind of the RB2-ish for the Kansas City Chiefs, +3,000. And Patrick Mahomes, first touchdown score, +2,000. Chris Kish says, have a good one, guys. Make this day legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Appreciate that, Chris. Appreciate Liddy for being in here. Mutandas, Jeff Stenberg, Scott Davis is in here. Grant Marshall, Rick Funcannon, John, J Metz, Joe Neuenfeld, Katie Taylor. Thanks, everybody, for being in here. I can't rattle off all the names, but I promise you I appreciate every single one of you for being in here. I guess we just did the recap screen. The only thing left to do is say thank you to Ben Wittenstein for all the stuff he's doing behind the camera and sometimes in front of it. Thank you, Matt Snyder. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mike. And again, thanks everybody in the chat. This has been The Early Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, we rest our case.